By God, everyone, Chef Brian Zane back here in the Kayfabe Kitchen, and sweet cream on an ice cream sandwich. I can't believe what I'm making this week. I mean, I wish I were making an ice cream sandwich, but instead, I'm making Big Boss ham steak donuts from the new WWE Cookbook. Why? Because I'm an idiot and I put that on the poll at the end of the last Kayfabe Kitchen, not thinking anyone would vote on it. I thought that John Cena's Fruity Pebbles treats was going to be the far and away winner, maybe the world's largest pancake, or maybe Bakishta. I did not expect ham steak donuts to win, but in hindsight, I shouldn't be too surprised considering it is one of those recipes that makes you go, what the hell's a ham steak donut? I certainly didn't know going into this. I looked up online to try and do some research into if there's anyone else who's made something like this. The closest thing when you put in ham steak donut on Google search is like a burger with a donut as the bun, but this is not what this is at all. Basically, whatever you think a ham steak donut is, you're probably wrong based on what this recipe shows. True to form, look at the namesake of the recipe, Big Boss Man. If you remember his contributions or the recipes that were in his name in the original WWF Cookbook, you have Pepper Steak, which is a play on the big storyline with him and Al Snow, and then you've also got a recipe of his chocolate chip cookies, which is just buy a tube of cookie dough and follow the instructions. What a troll move, and what a troll move I found myself in, making these ham steak donuts. And speaking of pepper steak, look at the reference here in this description. If you're a brutal individual, spice up that glaze with a nice sprinkle of pepper, proper noun. I see what you're doing there, publishers. It's actually a pretty simple recipe in terms of ingredients. All you need is the ham steak, you need pineapple slices, and a can of biscuit dough. I love how the packaging for the ham steak has the word enjoy in quotation marks, like it's being sarcastic with you, like, hey, enjoy your ham steak. Don't try and make ham steak donuts, whatever the hell those are, you mark. All right, so the first thing you have to do is you gotta lay out your pineapple rings atop the ham. I don't know if I'll be able to fit all 8 slices or however many because it's not big enough of a ham steak, but I'll do what I can here. I'm not an engineer, so maybe there's some room I don't know about that I can play with. There's a bone, I gotta account for that. What you're supposed to do here, according to the recipe, is cut out circles of the ham steak using the pineapple ring as your stencil, essentially. It's a trace. So you've got 8 or however many identical discs of ham. Hashtag discs of ham. Let's get that trending. And there is leftover ham that will not be used as I cut this up, and that will be diced up and used for a later part of this recipe. Discs of ham, every now and then I get a little bit hammy with my pineapple on top of my ham. Discs of ham. So the recipe says you should have like 8 hashtag discs of ham, but I only was able to do 6. So I hope the Big Boss Man can forgive me. Put some flour on this here cutting board because the book tells me to. All right, now it's time to open up our biscuits. Gotta open it up, and here we go. Ah, I love that pop sound, it's amazing. I live for the cheap pops. Divide the biscuits and gently pull apart each one into 2 split biscuits. Hey baby, wa la la, here's some discs of ham in your biscuits. Ha 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 ha. Lightly roll out each circle. I don't have room on my cutting board for this. Where am I gonna put the shit? You gotta flour your rolling pin and all the surfaces that are involved in the dough, otherwise it all gets caught up. And I don't know if you're supposed to brush both sides of each biscuit with water or just the interior, because the book don't say, but here we go. Put your hashtag disc of ham in the middle here, and you lay it out and you pinch the edges together like so. Poke a big old hole through that one. Yeah, come on, dough. Figure it out. One cool thing to talk about while I'm making this is that in the intro for this cookbook, it tells you how to host your own WWE themed party and the kind of party favors and the games you can play and stuff before the show begins. Although, I hate to break it to people who buy this book, Mr. McMahon is not going to attend your WWE party. Sorry. Like, is my finger not sharp enough? Is there a reason I can't get a decent hole in the middle of these? And while we're on the topic of the Big Boss Man, why don't you post some of your favorite Big Boss Man memories in the comment section while I'm working on this. Of course, my favorite Boss Man moment has to be his feud with the Big Show in '99 over Big Show's kayfabe dead dad, even though he was actually dead in real life years before they did the storyline. And just some of the memorable quotes, reading his poem to Boss Man, to the Big Show after his dad died. And that's exactly what I think about you and your dead daddy. And of course, Boss Man going to Show's mother's house to confirm that in fact he's a bastard son. You see that, Big Show? You're a big nasty bastard, and your mama just said so. Who's my daddy? Where's my daddy? Where my daddy? All right, well that was interesting. These bad boys are now ready to go in the oven. All right, they've been baking for about 15 minutes, but we're not done yet. We have to take them out and glaze these so-called donuts with maple syrup before putting them back in for a couple of minutes. And folks, I use the 100% pure maple syrup. I'm all about that. I don't mess with Mrs. Butterworth. And while that's all baking, you take the bits of ham from earlier, you fry them up in a skillet for a few minutes, and you let those cool down. And then when the donuts are all done baking, you brush some more maple syrup on top, you sprinkle those ham bits on top of them, and enjoy. Okay, it's time for the moment of truth. I'm gonna do one more bite just to make absolutely sure. So here's the breakdown. By now you figured out these are not in fact donuts, but rather sweet and savory stuffed biscuits that kind of look like donuts depending on your form when putting everything together. I think it's an okay recipe. I think that you can have a lot of fun with the stuffing and the things you put in the biscuit. You don't have to just do ham and pineapple. You can do ham and cheese. You could do some kind of sausage. You could do eggs. There's a lot of different things you could do to play with this dish to make kind of a really fun stuffed biscuit for breakfast. It may not look like much, but this is the most complex recipe I think I've ever done for Kayfabe Kitchen, but that's not a bad thing. I enjoy the challenge. I appreciate the fact that the makers of this new cookbook are thinking outside the box and doing some different things. Like I said, I've never heard of a ham steak donut. I think it was just a very big stretch to try and do the play on words for Boss Man's name in this case. I think stuffed biscuits are a thing. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. But like I said, I think you can have some fun with this. I think you can change up the ingredients depending on what you want in your stuffed biscuit. And you know, it gets a thumbs up from me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know which one of these recipes from the WWE Cookbook you want to see me make on the next Kayfabe Kitchen. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.